So, you decided to just go ahead and pay Luke $1,000, didn't you?
Welcome to Irreverent. It's been a month, and Luke, if you're listening, check your bank statement. You're probably going to be able to afford another Pontiac Solstice and be able to start like a racing series with it. Speaking of racing, hello guys. It's been too long, but it's okay. If you're the listener and you're worried that me and Eli had a severe breakup, you'd be correct. However, we reconciled our relationship. We're back to talking to each other again, back on speaking terms. One of us is doing it reluctantly. One of us is very happy about it, and you're probably going to be able to see through the episode which one is which. Throughout the episode, though, you can look forward to your favorite co-host Levi talking about the last month of NASCAR, because first you want to hear all about everyone's favorite motorsport. However, for those who don't like NASCAR, which are you listening, the other co-host that isn't your favorite and is doing this reluctantly. Oh, did I say that? Uh, we'll be talking about the last month of F1. Yeah, I say month, but like he said, it's only been two races, and honestly, we're kind of just want to talk about Mexico.
Yeah.
And that's not, yeah, just Mexico. So without further ado, I will do the do and let Eli do a discussion about Mexico.
Yeah. So, to start out, of course, do kind of need to mention a little bit about Coda. It was the sprint race, because, remember, Formula One has those. Because they kind of forgot. Had half of them in the first six races, and then the other half are in the back six. But, um, fun fact, let me just go ahead and pull up the standings from that race. For the first time in I forget how many races, Lando Norris actually managed to. Um, oh wait, no, I'm talking about Mexico. Yeah, no. Sorry. Yeah, the gap between Max and Lando actually widened in Coda. Right. That. Hmm. You see
Let
why?
me pull let me pull up my app really quick.
No, you see. Okay, it's called a joke because Lando has had a faster car for 2/3 of the season than Max, but has only recently ever actually gained on him.
He is 44 points away as of tonight.
Yeah. So, for the race in Coda, for the sprint race, Max won with Lando coming in third, which means that the gap actually widened to 55 points. Or, actually widened. I don't think it went quite to 55. But then, in the main race, Max took third over Lando at fourth, widening the gap even more. Just a reminder, back when people were saying the championship battle was on, the gap was 53 points. Coming out of Coda, I believe the gap was 54.
Rough. Like I know when I like of course if you know guys, I like F1 but also find a way to not to watch it. But like when I was like looking for updates and stuff and I saw the race and I saw the highlights and I was kind of just like, man, like I was I was kind of disappointed because I do want to have a good championship fight and the last thing that Lando needed was any good drivers ahead of him. And Ferrari just came back with a really good car at Coda and went 1-2. And so it's kind of like, yeah, um,
Yep,
yeah,
that's
the break did Ferrari well and not McLaren, unfortunately.
yeah, that's gonna be the theme of the F1 discussion tonight. Is Lando was already struggling to close the championship gap, and then there were two cars faster than him. Here's the thing: I would argue that the Ferraris aren't necessarily faster than the McLarens. It's just that they actually have two drivers who know how to win races.
Eh, You know what? You're not wrong because if you look at the lineups, we can joke about Charles, and honestly, I love joking about Charles, but him and Carlos, they know how to win races. They're multiple race winners. Honestly, it's crazy to think now that Carlos has already had, holy crap. Wait, no, give me a second, Eli. Let me do this because is it 4 wins now?
I believe after Mexico it's four, if I'm remembering right.
So yeah, you 4 wins in F1 is not bad. Like, and he still has so much to go. And you have Charles, who's on to, once again, I'm not even sure if this is right. Is he on 8, 7 or 8?
I thought it was 9, but I could be remembering wrong.
But I mean, still, the point is, you got Oscar and Lando each with respectively 2 and 1 versus these seasoned drivers who have kind of been in the game for one's been in it for over a decade, or I think a decade, and you have Charles has been here for 7 years, and it's
Yeah,
it's just Ferrari. I mean, I like it because when you give a really fast car to younger guys, I mean, they're going to do good things, of course, but when you give a good car to those experienced guys, obviously the wins are going to tick off. They know what to do with a winning car, and they don't have any of those nerves that maybe Oscar and Lando have, being kind of fresh up front with a car, especially Oscar.
yeah. So like, and a big thing that you'll notice with a lot of this, what was going on, has to do simply with the fact that Max does not need to give a crap about what the Ferraris do. So for reference, Coda qualifying for the main race was Lando on pole, followed by Max, followed by both the Ferraris.
For sure, yeah.
Turn 1, Max does what, if he was trying to win the race, would have been a terrible line. Because he sacrificed second in order to get ahead of Lando. If I'm remembering right, he pins Lando to the outside, compromising both of their lines, letting both the Ferraris through. But Max doesn't need to win the race. He just needs Lando to not. Which, if you know anything about Mexico, is a rather ominous line.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And then later in the race, this also gets reinforced because Max and Lando were side by side, with Lando trying to go for an overtake. And they both outbroke themselves. Did you hear about. Oh, you said you watched the highlights, right?
U.S. Grand Prix, not Mexico.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the prelude to Mexico.
Okay.
Trying to set up why some of the controversy in Mexico happened. But what happens is, I just want to make it clear, neither of them were staying on track in that corner, regardless of what the other one did.
Yeah.
Which is why the penalties went the way they did. Neither of them were making that corner. But Max outbroke himself because Lando was going to outbreak himself, leading to them both going off track. Which then, because Max was ahead at the apex, means that Max just gets noted for exceeding track limits, but Lando, because he then proceeds to still carry that momentum and pass off the track, gets a 5-second penalty, as opposed to a 10-second, which is what he normally would have had if Max hadn't gone off the track. The thing about it is, if Lando had broke harder, he would have been able to switch back on Max and take the position and not get the penalty for it. I want to make all of that clear, because people freaked out about this.
Well, if it's Max and Lando, they're gonna, yeah,
That's
it's gonna
the
blow up.
we've seen situations like this a million times before, and this is generally how they play out. But people freaked out this time.
And then the Monday press conference, we're like, Max, are you gonna change your driving style?
That was after Mexico. But
I love it.
this is all prelude to Mexico because people were upset about this. So then we get to Mexico. Let me pull up Mexico's results.
And this is where I cease to have watched highlights. So I'm sorry, my friend.
Yeah. Funny thing is, this is the one that you probably should have watched.
Guys, this is why I cover NASCAR.
So as the qualifying goes, Carlos Sainz takes pole, Max second, Lando third, Charles fourth. Uh, Dishonorable mention to uh, two drivers, one of which this was not his home race, and genuinely just made a mistake. Like, I'll admit, Piastri had a bit of a slump for 2 weekends. Specifically in qualifying, in one case. In Coda, I was going to say, in Coda, he had a bad qualifying, recovered in the race, but then got team orders from McLaren to keep a rather sizable gap from Lando, which means that his entire race was him sitting in no man's land in front of the Mercedes, but like 5 seconds behind his teammate. And then people were like, oh, he did so terrible. It's like, he got team orders to not pressure his teammate, which means that he realistically ended up in the only position he was allowed to. Mexico, he has no such excuse. He made a mistake in qualifying, got a lap time deleted. If I'm remembering right, it's that one corner that everybody accidentally cuts on the inside.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay, I saw that. That's why Max didn't get pole.
Yeah. Yeah, Max did it too later, lost his pole lap, but his second fastest lap was still faster than Lando's. But coming up behind Piastri in P18 was Checo Perez.
Isn't he the F1 legend who's won 6 races?
Is it actually 6 races?
Like crap, I think it. Well, yeah. Let's.
I think you're right, because he was winning like 2 a year there when he first joined. He won 2020. He won Secure. Then 21 he won Baku, and didn't he win one other?
You can check, but I think he only got one in 2021.
Okay.
I think Baku was his lone win in 21. Yeah, because Max got 10, Lewis got 8,
Yeah.
Valtteri and him. Yeah, and then Daniel got Monza, so that was 20. Oh, and Esteban Turkey, so that's 22 races.
Yeah, you're right. And what did he win in
And then,
22?
if I'm right, was that when he got? No. Ooh, this is hard in 22 because 23 is kind of easy because he won 2 of the first 4. Is that right?
If I remember right.
And Baku.
I'm gonna just pull up the stats.
Was it? I think it was Baku and Jeddah in 23.
Let me see. 23. 23 was, or not 23. 22 was Monaco.
He won Monaco in 22.
Monaco and Singapore were 22. I thought Monaco was 23, but I got that backwards.
When I hear these statistics about him, it's kind of like mind blowing because he's been so bad.
Yeah.
Like, wait, first of all, he won a race. Second of all, he won Monaco. Like,
Yeah.
That's the one race that every F1 driver wants to retire having, and he got it. Like, he's got Monaco.
And then 23 was Saudi Arabia and Baku again.
That's crazy. Has he won almost every street circuit we've been to?
Oh, let's see. He hasn't won Australia.
Okay, there's one.
He hasn't won Canada.
So Canada's counted as a street circuit?
Technically, yes. It's a street circuit in the same way that Australia is a street circuit. They're parks that have a racetrack built into them, but it's a public road most of the year.
Okay, yeah.
He hasn't won Vegas, but that's
Ooh.
brand new.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold that one super against him. He's only had, well, one shot at this point.
Technically speaking, Miami is also a street circuit.
True.
It doesn't really feel like one, but it also doesn't feel like anything else.
Crazy that.
The funny thing is, he's won the hard street circuits, but not the easy ones.
It's crazy that he's won what he's won because those are like he's won 5 different tracks. He hasn't. It's not like he's this driver who only has one good track he's at. He's won a variety, even though they're all street circuits with Sakir. I mean, it's a variety of tracks he's won at.
And they're very different. Yeah,
Not to mention the second. I think Baku at this point might be one of the top 3 hardest races all year. 2 wins there.
yeah.
That's
But
crazy.
he's just nowhere anywhere else.
It's so funny. Like it because neither of us have driven an F1 car or really when we have driven a go-kart, it's never been in an extremely closed wall environment. It must just be something with like the give and take. Just it's crazy how the closer the walls go in, the better he gets.
Yeah. I like I genuinely think the worst thing that could have ever happened to his reputation was him joining Red Bull.
I agree.
If
I mean,
if he didn't find a seat for 21, he retires after a long career, getting an incredible win as his first and only win for a midfield team, and showing that he truly was as good as everyone had said he was.
what a happy ending.
Yeah, it was only downhill from there.
I also think he could have even retired at the end of 21 and retired with Checo as a legend.
Yeah, because at that point he had actually set like he did his job. He was ahead enough, forward enough, far enough forward to actually help protect Max and help Max win the championship. Max wouldn't have been able to win the championship if it weren't for some key moments of team play and strategy that Checo enabled. So, like, if he retires at the end of 2020 or 2021, he retires a legend. Every year since has just made it to where we literally forget that he has won races.
That's too funny. When I thought you were playing with me when you thought I was joking when I said 6 wins.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I genuinely struggled to, like, I was like, he's won Monaco and Baku, but what else has he won?
He's
Yeah.
won more than Carlos Sainz. Can you believe that? He's won more than Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, it's the difference is Carlos is actually at the front when he's not winning.
Ooh.
But we'll get on to Checo's race later. We're still in the Verstappen versus Norris. So fairly early on into the race, Max manages to take signs. I think it was like turn 4. He gets the overtake on Carlos, and immediately there's a safety car because Yuki and Albon crashed each other out. It was mostly a racing incident, and this is an interesting pattern you're going to notice over the course of this race. Is every single person who has a contract even tangentially related to Red Bull was kinda just desperate. Between Checo trying to do something at his home race, Yuki and Liam trying to show they're better than Checo and can replace him, and Max just needing Lando to not win, kind of led all of them to drive like madmen, which was not the best for their reputation, but led to us actually having a good race in Mexico for once.
I mean, do you think F1 has learned that the NASCAR formula can work sometimes?
But that's the funniest thing, because they didn't. Because it's like, this ended up being a great race, but everybody's immediately like, no, all of these people need to be punished. And it's like, no, this is good racing. This is good. It's like IndyCar. They don't give a crap how far you run someone off as long as they don't crash into a wall.
And literally kill themselves because that's what IndyCar is.
Yeah, it's like IndyCar, NASCAR. As long as the other person doesn't die, you're good. And you know what? Fair.
Oh Oh my gosh, Eli, I I'm hosting, so I'm going to take control here because I need to quickly just say that's literally what happened. Where NASCAR had to punish a dude because he wrecked a dude so hard in the truck race last week, he went to the hospital.
Yeah, that is the downside of that. But the incidents we're going to talk about here in a little bit, we're not near Wallace.
Guys, don't try this at home, please.
Yeah.
We're begging. Don't try this at home.
So later on in the race, going into turn 4, um, so after the safety car on the restart, Carlos manages to get Max back and get first again. This is the last time we're going to talk about Carlos. Because the man just drives a perfect race from here on out. Literally, the only mistake Carlos makes all race is being slightly worse at starts than Max Verstappen. Someone who is one of the best starters in the history of Formula One.
Are you saying this was a smooth operation?
Indeed I am. Because he checks out and is just off winning the race from here on out. But
Yeah, I'll say it's a smooth operation.
yeah. But this did lead to a funny thing in the press conference. I can't remember if it was before or after his win. If it was from, I think it was after he took pole, if I'm remembering right. Saying how it's bittersweet because he's got a car that can win races, which means that he gets some really good races. But also, it's likely to be a championship contender next year, and he's not in it. Which,
Yeah,
oh,
right. It's tough. Like,
especially
I would
considering
like
how
to.
bad next year is going to go for Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a good team, a good driver
Imagine
lineup.
imagine a Ferrari a Ferrari prime contending with Carlos Sainz. Like they might be unstoppable
Yeah,
because Carlos is, for all intents and purposes, the perfect. It's like the perfect chemistry in a driver lineup where your first driver is extremely fast, mistake prone, but your second driver is so darn sure-handed that if Charles messes up, which he probably will, Carlos is definitely going to win. Like there's no way he's not going to win.
and he's good enough to make it so that even if they have clearly the fastest car, Charles always has to try.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect chemistry, and I think years down the line, people are going to be probably telling themselves, "Man, maybe bringing Lewis in wasn't the best idea."
I don't think you're going to have to wait years. I think it's going to be months.
Oh, I was trying to be nice, Eli.
Look, all I'm saying is we've seen how Lewis races his teammate when his teammate is good.
That's some dangerous driving, man.
I wasn't talking about against Max. I was talking about the Rosberg era. Yeah,
Dual machinery.
yeah. No, all of the people saying, "Oh, Max only drives clean when he's clearly fastest," seem to have forgotten how Lewis drove when he had a challenger. But
The Brittany days.
yep. Speaking of Max not driving particularly clean, at one point going into turn 4, Lando pulls out aside Max, and unlike in Coda, they are side by side going into turn 4. At which point, Max goes wide and doesn't leave much space for Lando on the outside. He doesn't leave any space. Which, yeah, it's not good. Probably should have been a penalty. Thing is, actually, no, that one, I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. That one, for something we'll get to, probably shouldn't have been a penalty. But what then happens into turn 8, so Lando is off the track and takes the position and holds it. And then into turn 8, Max, feeling like Lando overtook off track, dive bombs to the apex. They both go off track. This time, Lando was probably going to make the corner if Max didn't make the move. But Max overtakes and takes the position, forcing Lando off track. Now, Max gets a 10-second penalty for forcing another driver off the track on the first occasion, in turn 4. And then he gets a 10-second penalty for overtaking off track for turn 8. Here is the reason that I said Max probably shouldn't have got a penalty for the turn 4 thing. Because in the next 2 laps, Checo does the exact same thing to 2 different drivers in the same corner. And it has worse results for those 2 drivers. And doesn't get penalized for either of them.
I think it's because they just feel bad for Checo at this point.
Yeah, but when you literally just gave his teammate a 10-second penalty for the same thing, but less egregious, to then let him do it twice and do nothing. Because what he does is, one time, he is trying to pass Liam Lawson in a V-carb while he's driving a Red Bull, and he forces Liam off track, farther off track in turn 4 than Max forced Lando. Liam keeps his foot in and pushes back into turn 5, still leaving enough room on the outside for Checo. And Checo... Actually, at that point, Liam was still ahead. Managed to keep ahead. But Checo, trying to keep it in, damages his own side pod. Which, another fun thing.
That's rough.
Yeah, Mexican fans tried to make this seem like Liam's fault. People genuinely try to blame Liam Lawson for ruining Checo's race because Checo couldn't overtake a car that was substantially slower than his cleanly.
Obviously, I mean, it's obviously Liam's fault.
People were calling for Liam to be ejected from the series over this. People were calling for Red Bull to drop him because Checo's so incompetent that he can't overtake cleanly. Of course, Liam's gonna fight back, because, like...
I can, yeah, like, if Checo doesn't obviously have an extreme pace advantage and Liam has gotten blue flag, then why just let him by? Because he's a Red Bull.
Yeah, that's the thing, is, Checo, mind you, at this point, is out of the points. I also forgot to mention earlier, Checo had taken a 5-second penalty because he had his full front tires in front of his grid box.
Nice.
Yeah, and when his engineer called him on the radio on the first lap to say you're being investigated for a starting infringement, he said it wasn't an infringement, it was just a great start. His front tires, when he parked, were completely past the lines. So,
Checo.
yeah. And then, the lap after that tussle with Liam, he does the same thing again against Lance Stroll. Only Stroll can't keep it onto the paved part of the runoff and gets pushed onto the grass and almost spins.
Well, I'm more willing to say that's a skill issue with Lance Stroll.
The almost spinning part, yes, but it only happened because Checo forced him off the track. No penalty.
It's because it's Mexico.
Yeah. But what then you eventually see happen is Checo pits, serves his 5-second penalty, comes out, gets new tires. He's got fresh tires. He now has open track in front of him because it's not exactly like there were a lot of cars behind him for him to end up coming out in the traffic of. So, right, you think he should have a good undercut here. Right. A couple laps later, Max pits, takes a 20-second penalty, and still comes out 6 seconds ahead of Checo. In 10 laps, Max is up to 7th. Checo is in 17th.
And in case you haven't realized, this is a Checo roast session.
Yeah. Because we're past the point where, like, we talked about the Lando Norris Max Verstappen thing. Nothing else about that matters. Max's entire plan was just, like, try to slow Lando down as much as possible to keep him as far back in the points as possible. Right? Because, mind you, the thing that ends up happening with Max is Max finishes exactly where he would have if he hadn't taken any penalties. Because he's that fast. Like, Max still gets back up to 6th. Which is probably where he was going to finish anyway. He might have finished 5th. But, like, the Mercedes were about as fast as the Red Bulls. He wasn't going to finish in front of both Ferraris. And he wasn't going to beat Lando either. His whole goal was just slow Lando down as much as possible. If it only cost him one more position that was only worth 2 points, but it cost Lando 7 points, yeah, it's worth it. And it did. And he did. And that is the kind of ruthless driving that is quite fun to see.
Here on Irreverent.
But
now it's a commercial break.
Do you actually need to take a break, or?
No, I was just...
Okay. I was gonna say, because last few times that you've said that, it's because you needed to go grab something.
Oh, no, and also listeners listening, which, when I say that, I definitely at this point mean Luke. If I need a restroom break, I will text Eli instead of just blabbering it.
That's why I was kind of confused. I actually genuinely, when you said that, looked over at my phone, was like, wait, did I miss a message?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, no, so basically that's the story of the 2 Red Bulls. Except it's not quite done yet.
Oh no.
Because
buckle up, guys.
Liam was actually having a quite good race, getting up to, I believe, 12th or 13th at one point, when there was a bit of an incident with a certain Argentinian. It was hard racing, but it was also... Let me put it this way. There's a reason that Liam was getting death threats, and it's mostly because he enraged every Spanish speaker in the Western Hemisphere. Mostly because he fought a Mexican and an Argentinian, and the Mexican had a terrible race, and the Argentinian ended up taking a penalty because of it.
Yeah. Pretty rough.
Yeah, but Liam's front wing got damaged, so VCARB was like, you know what, just pit, we'll strap softs on, see if you can go for the fastest lap.
Hey, wait, be quiet for a second. Listeners, can you hear that ambulance in the background?
It's for Checo.
Oh, I was going to make a joke in that vein. I'm so glad. I'm so glad we're on the same wavelength. Do you hear that? It's trying to save Checo's career.
At that point, I feel like a hearse would be a more appropriate thing now.
He's going to be on a stretcher here pretty soon.
But anyway, no, so VCARB's like, just try to do, it's like, you're going to finish outside of the points no matter what now, may as well just send you out, see if you can get fastest lap. Then Red Bull is like, hey, Lando has the fastest lap, and we don't want him getting any closer to Max, so they call Checo in to put on softs and try to get the fastest lap.
Oh, oh
Uh,
no. Oh no.
yeah. You want to take a wild guess which of the two sets the faster lap?
Oh wait. Who else do they pit for softs?
It is Liam and Checo.
Well, obviously Liam, because Checo's washed.
Yeah, of the two, Liam sets the faster lap. Mind you, neither of them gets the fastest lap, because at this point, certain Charles Leclerc locks his brakes, goes completely flying off of turn 1, at which point Lando gets second. But there's like a 40-second gap between Charles and the Mercedes. So Charles pits for softs, and he gets the actual fastest lap.
That's like a Three Stooges way to try to get the fastest lap. Like, here, let's not just have one driver, but two drivers get on soft. Like, there's no way we can't do this. There was a way they couldn't do this.
Just, yeah. And then, the fallout is what we will now talk about. Because...
Fall Out Boy, can you play some Centuries for us while we do this?
I do not want to deal with lawsuits. We don't make...
Right. Oh, never mind. Did I say Centuries? I meant Centurion. That's what I meant.
We don't make money from this podcast. In fact, it already costs us some money. I'd rather it not cost a lot. Oh. But,
When girls ask us if it's popular, we say, people listen. And by people, we mean Luke.
And lawyers, if you had your way.
Honestly. I could be rolling in lawsuit money if anyone listened. Other than Luke.
But anyway. No, so, the two rather terrible weekends, because I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but, Checo only finished 7th in COTA.
That was his first top 10 in how many years?
You're joking, but, it had actually been several races. Almost all of his points were scored in the first 5 races. He has not scored double-digit points in a single weekend past Miami.
Oh, are you serious? Yikes.
Yeah.
That's alarming. Not to be dramatic, but yeah, that's alarming.
Yeah. So, in press conferences afterwards, for the first time ever, Christian Horner implied that Checo might not see out the end of the season. Let me pull up the articles that I sent to Levi real fast. Of which...
sorry. Oh, wait, I did read them.
Yeah.
I read them, actually. I'm a good boy.
Yeah, so, Christian Horner said that there comes a point in time that a decision has to be made based on performance. That he refused to confirm whether Checo would continue racing for Red Bull past the Brazilian Grand Prix. And the most obvious one is that Telemax is going to stop sponsoring Red Bull next year. For anyone who doesn't know, Telemax is a company that is run by Carlos Slim, who is a family friend of a certain Checo Perez, and is also Checo's primary sponsor.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, yeah. And the interesting thing is... So, the interesting thing about this is, the end of the sponsorship deal is said to be because AT&T, another telecom provider, is looking to make a large investment and be a major sponsor of Red Bull. Which sounds an awful lot like, to me, that Red Bull, at some point in this season, were like, oh no, we're going to have to drop Checo, so we need to find another sponsor to make up the sponsorship money he brings in before we can confirm that we'll drop him. I'm not saying that's what happened, but
That's 100% what did happen.
yeah. So after this weekend, we'll see whether or not Checo has a job anymore. I highly doubt it. But look, all I'm saying.
And if you see the excitement in his eyes, he totally hopes for it. I've never seen you like this excited about a driver ending his career.
Have we ever even really. We've not even really talked about a driver ending their career.
This is the first. And I will challenge that you'll never be more excited about a driver ending their career.
Probably not. But the thing is, I don't even hate Checo. I just, like. I think in an ideal world was Checo. In an ideal world, Checo retires at the end of 2021. Red Bull.
Because we love and care about him.
Yeah. He retires from Formula One at the end of 2021, comes to the United States, races an IndyCar. We actually, by now, would already have a Mexican IndyCar Grand Prix. Right?
Oh, NASCAR got to Mexico before IndyCar did. How about that?
Yeah. Like, if Checo came to IndyCar in 2022, either this year or next year, we would have a Mexico City Grand Prix. Red Bull finally is like, Gasly came sixth. Right? Like, Gasly can compete in a car that is the sixth fastest car on the grid. So maybe we should give him another shot. So you probably see Gasly promoted back to Red Bull and Liam brought in to AlphaTauri back then. Right? That's the ideal world that we get. Instead, we have Checo completely humiliating himself.
And Danny Ricciardo never getting fired.
Yeah. Instead, we have Checo completely humiliating himself for 3 years running.
That's the thing, guys. We're not done yet.
I do also want to point out some other things that happened in this race, because we've talked about the big headliner stuff, but also Haas was really good.
Yeah, double points, right?
Yeah, they finished 7th and 9th.
That is really good.
That means that Haas walked away with as many points this weekend as Red Bull.
Wow.
Because Max came 6th, getting 8 points. K-Mag came 6th, came 7th, getting 6 points. Hulkenberg came 9th, getting 2 points. So they got 8 points, Max got 8 points.
And we're all happy.
Yep. So yeah, this week we're on to Brazil. At this point, Lando would have to take every available point, and Max just needs to finish 3rd or better to be able to close out the championship. So, yeah. That championship fight's over. The championship fight that is still on is the Constructors' Championship, because Ferrari is currently 34 points behind McLaren.
And this is okay. I'm back in. Hey guys, I'm back. I was on leave, paid leave. I am actually really excited to be able to have, like, all year we've been hyping up, or the media's been hyping up the Lando Max battle, when really it's kind of just been Lando chasing a dream. But we have a real manufacturer's battle on our hands with 4 races to go. that is a ton of racing when it comes to manufacturers' points because there's so many on the table every race. If I'm right, there's bare minimum 44 points every weekend for a constructor.
26 for first, 18 for second. Assuming fastest. Well, 25 for first, 18 for second, fastest lap.
Okay. So yeah, so 44 points not counting a sprint, and that is a lot of points to play with all positions. That gap could be nothing at all by the end of this weekend, or it could be very distanced. It's I think 4 races with this close to a manufacturer's battle is really exciting.
And the thing is, Ferrari is only focused on that. I think
Yeah,
McLaren needs to abandon the idea of taking the driver championship.
and you
Because
know what?
go
I
ahead.
can I can agree with that. No, I was just gonna say I can agree with that because I it's hard to I just said that based off emotion because it's hard because we don't know what it's like being Lando or Andrea Stella. We don't know how much dividend it would pay to choose one over the other. But when it comes to realisticness, you can almost, I don't want to say guarantee, but if you really lock into the manufacturer's title, you are in the driver's seat to win it this year. If you can really try really hard to get those wins this year, um, I it's almost like a guaranteed win in a way. It's you know what I mean, Eli. It's not like
Yeah.
guaranteed, but like if you're in the driver's seat by still over 20 points in the manufacturer's title versus being over 40 points behind in a driver's title, once again with manufacturers, it's much more, I would say, lenient. Where just because let's say even Ferrari gets ahead this race, you still got 3 races to go, which is plenty of time to try to make up lost time. So yeah, I'm with you, Eli. I would like to see McLaren put more effort into getting that manufacturer's title because um, I think maybe at Coda where I don't know how much better Oscar Piastri's pace was than Lando, if better at all. But yeah, I think I'm with you. At this point, you're in the driver's seat of one of the championships, and not just. I mean, the constructors is half of what F1's all about, if not more than half.
It's the one that
If
pays
you can
money.
add a main, if you can add a WCC to your legacy, get it? Like that's gonna be huge. When was the last time McLaren won a WCC?
96, I believe.
Like, yeah, I'm with you.
It
I
was in the
like that
90s.
take. I really like that take. If you can just try to remain in the driver's seat and lock in this World Constructors Championship, that's the thing. Lando is still really far behind, but if you can give him another shot next year off the bat with a competitive car, that's even better to me.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the team that looks like it'll be a threat to McLaren next year is Ferrari for the driver championship. But right now, the position they're putting themselves in is there are 4 other cars on the track that are around Lando that want to beat him. That's the
Yeah.
situation they've put themselves in. Okay, there are 3 other cars. Checo doesn't count. He's nowhere close. But
Oh, I thought you actually included Oscar Piastri in that.
no, during the sprint race today, Oscar rolled over to team orders.
Now he's just a mindless drone in the infinite world that is F1.
But that's kind of like that kind of shows the point of it's like team orders for the drivers championship are pointless right now. Because again, even if Lando takes every single available point, Max only has to finish third or better. He doesn't even have to. He has to finish. If I remember right, he can finish fourth in at least one race, and if Lando misses a fastest lap point, 2.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I'm not the kind of guy that endorses giving up. But is it giving up if you are in firm control of one of the two championships at the end of the year, especially
I
like
would
you
argue
said?
dividing their attention is more giving up on the constructor championship than if they just stopped worrying about the driver championship.
Yeah, I
Because
I
the situation
do.
they're finding themselves in right now, which do you think they're more likely to do? To have Piastri try and race and get as many points as possible? Right, okay, let's just have a hypothetical situation. McLaren can either use Piastri to try and get second or third on the podium, following up Lando. Or they can put Piastri in fourth, but guarantee Max finishes fifth. The way McLaren's been acting, right now they would choose that one. But you know who else that puts on the podium? It's the two Ferraris.
Andy. Ooh.
Yeah, that's the thing. But if they keep doing that, they're not going to win either. Which would be the funniest outcome of this season. If McLaren gets so focused on dividing their attention that they lose both championships, when realistically they should have won both. Because, like, let's be honest here, McLaren has had clearly the fastest car for most of the season.
Think.
McLaren does not have an excuse to not win at least one championship. And they might lose
Yeah,
both.
I'm with you. I feel like that would just and that's the thing is if you lock into one of those championships, if you win that, that's not even close to failure of a season. That's a successful season. Like
This is a
you
team
own
that
all
almost
three.
went
That's
bankrupt just a
awesome.
few years ago.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing, frankly, that they're running where they are. So yeah, I really like that. I think it is. Um, I don't. I think they should maybe give it a race here. See how Lando does this weekend. But I think this weekend will go a huge way into deciding the drivers championship. So if you can just wait this weekend, but and see what happens, but really just try to focus on getting that WCC. That's gonna be beneficial. I like your take on that because that's what I think they do need to do that.
It's like, I'm not saying, if it's convenient to just completely give up, but, like, they should not put themselves in a position. Like, another example would be if Max had the fastest lap. I bet you that McLaren would pit Piastri to take it from him instead of maintaining track position.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But it's stuff like that where it's like, that would cost them both championships.
Hmm.
And, like, I get it, the driver championship is more marketable, but when you've not had either in 20 years. No, they had the drivers championship with Lewis in 2008. Yeah, 7 was Kimmy, 8
We gotta
was.
make it sound. You gotta make it sound good though. Let's keep it to 30 years.
Well, that's the last time they had the constructors, so.
But yeah, I think what you're saying is good. I would like to see McLaren get the WCC, especially because the last time someone not named Red Bull or a certain Mercedes to win the constructors was Braun, but also that was Mercedes backed. So actually, never mind. McLaren is Mercedes engine. Never mind. But yeah, I mean, the last time your name wasn't Mercedes for Red Bull
Was
won
Ferrari.
a constructors championship. So, I mean, with that, I mean, because Braun had the Are you counting Braun as Mercedes? Because I'm just counting them as Braun because McLaren also uses a Mercedes engine.
Hmm. I mean, it is the
I
same
mean, but
team
I'm willing to.
that was running a Mercedes engine.
Rats. Oh yeah,
Did they even
separation
take the
Ferrari.
constructors? Didn't Red Bull take constructors that year?
I believe '09 Braun still managed to get constructors because Red Bull was 10, 11, 12, 13, right? I believe they managed to. Don't take my word for it, but I believe they did.
Because Seb almost took the drivers' championship.
Yeah, you can totally look it up, but I really think Braun was able to lock in '09.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Man, I'm completely worthless when it comes to like race analysis, but when it comes to memorizing historical facts, I'm okay.
I always forget just how incredible Barrichello was at the end of the season.
Oh, really?
But
I just know Jensen took most of the wins. I always forget about Barrichello too.
yeah, that's the thing. Jensen has his hot streak at the beginning of the season and then does nothing.
Wasn't his last win the eighth Grand Prix? Is that right? The eighth Grand Prix was his last win of that
Seventh.
season. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he won 6 of the first 7 races, and finishes on the top in the top 5. For the next 5 races, he finishes in the top 5 once, and then in the last 5 races is so yeah. So first 7 races, he is never off the podium. It is 6 wins, 1/3, and then 6th, 5th, 7th, 7th retire. Finally gets back on the podium with a second in Italy, followed by 5th, 8th, 5th, and then gets podium in Abu Dhabi with 3rd.
What a roller coaster.
Yeah,
That is crazy. Like to hear how not great he was at the end of the like that is crazy. Like all of his wins came in the first 7 races, and after that, he's like, "I'm out. See you guys."
yep. Well, what happens is all the other teams
That's
figured out how to make a blown diffuser. It's just Red Bull's the only one who had a good car with it, aside from Ron.
oh, and so that does that mean the past was there 17 races in '09? Is that right?
I think so.
So did Barrichello get those his 2 wins that year in the final 10 races?
Yes.
Man. So like he literally just outperformed Jensen in the final 10 races.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yep. But he had a rough beginning of the season.
Rubens wasn't all that bad. There's a reason he's in second driver heaven.
Yeah. Anyway, we got
Anyway,
way off topic there.
guys, we're having fun.
It's been a minute
By
since we've
guys,
just
I mean
rambled.
Luke. Yeah, guys, once again, it's been like a month since we've even talked, and our relationship has been on rails. So it's just nice to know we love each other again.
I wouldn't go that far.
Uh, Once again, one of us is reluctant about this.
I mostly
One of
just
us is
needed an
recording
excuse to
because
slander Checo more. It's just after those
Tom's
2
like, why don't
races,
you
it's
hang
all
out with that
belled
guy
up.
Levi? I am so excited for the winter. Oh, I'm gonna do a commercial break. Not the poop commercial break, but commercial break of like, guys, you should totally listen to us during the winter because it's gonna get insane. Like, because Eli isn't going to have Checo to rant about anymore. We don't have NASCAR to talk about anymore. So, we already have a special episode we tried doing a month ago, and I almost died. Honest to goodness, almost died, and we couldn't record it.
If you
But
remember
no,
the
we have some
intro,
special eps.
us failing to record that has
What do
cost.
you
If
say?
you remember the intro, us failing to record that has cost Levi $1,000.
Guys, it is like insanely unfortunate, but yeah, like Luke is gonna have so much money now because I got sick. Because of that, Luke is gonna be so wealthy. But yeah, we do have a special episode in mind. I have done and honestly unhealthy levels of research, would be safe to say, to do this episode because I actually am excited about it. Um, I forget what else I'm gonna say, but yeah, there you go. But what I'm saying is like this winter is gonna get crazy once we have no Checo to just berate constantly.
At one point, I'm going to make him review an anime. That's going to happen.
At one point, I'm gonna bring all my toys over and we're gonna open them.
That's probably also going to happen.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna combine it, Eli. When we do that special ep, like I said, I need to get in the mood for the episode. So what I'm gonna do is I'm literally just gonna take all my unopened toys over to your place and we're gonna open them together and get in the mood.
Let's be honest, that day we're probably going to end up
Or
recording a couple of random off topic episodes back to back.
yeah, we're gonna do that. And we also gotta talk about the prequels at least once.
We're supposed to have a guest for
Because
that
there is a
episode.
divided. Oh, we are? Did I forget?
Remember Riley? We wanted to bring him on to do an episode on the pod race.
That's yeah, my bad. Riley, if you're listening, which
He's not.
probably not.
He
Future
self-admittedly knows
Riley,
nothing about
actually,
racing.
Future Riley, listening to this episode because I told you to, you can also get $1,000 if you agree with me on the prequels, which he hates the prequels. So there's no way you're getting 1,000. So I'm safe. Anyway, can I talk about NASCAR now?
I don't know. You're the host.
Are you done? Well, I mean, I'm the host, but I'm a polite host who loves and cares about you and wants to make sure you got everything off your chest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've ranted just about as much as I can.
All right, ranting over. Now it's time for your favorite co-host to start talking about his favorite sport. That is racing, specifically the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing.
So you say ranting over. You did mention at one point someone almost dies in what you're about to talk about.
Yes, and that will be very brief because that is the truck series. So, hey Eli, you mind filling some space for Chaboy while I try to find that news article?
Sure. There's actually one other news story that we didn't really talk about, so, I can mention it. At one point on the radio, Charles Leclerc decided to say the F word, and this did not get penalized. For anyone who's wondering why that's a big deal, it's because in Singapore, Max Verstappen got a fine in community service for doing the same thing. Not on the radio. They were both in post-race press conferences. So everyone naturally called the FIA out on this because that was blatantly just literally targeting Max. There's no other way to put it. You literally penalized him for saying the F word in a press conference and did not penalize another driver a couple weeks later for doing the exact same thing. So it got reviewed. And the review said that Charles got off with a very light fine for, again, the exact same thing. The difference is, Charles knew it was not something he was allowed to do, so he apologized during the press conference. But Max hadn't been warned, so he didn't know that he should apologize. And it has also been made clear by Charles that he thinks that the whole not being allowed to say what they want to say in press conferences is nonsense, which also makes it clear that the apology was fake. Which kind of shows that it's still was sort of them just targeting Max.
Yeah.
The thing is, the best case scenario for them is that it was them targeting Max. Because otherwise, they're just completely incompetent.
Yikes.
Was that enough time?
Yeah, no, that was plenty. Thank you.
Alright.
That sounded so like that was like a sarcastic feature. Like, yeah, that was plenty. You talk so much, Eli. So thank you. So this past weekend at Homestead, Miami, guys, I'm gonna review the last month of racing in the Cup Series. Don't you worry. But because of Eli's curiosity, I'm just gonna get this out of the way because if you may remember really far back in this episode, we talked about NASCAR and IndyCar doesn't give a crap if you run a driver off the road until they get hurt. Unfortunately, that literally happened last week. Connor Jones, the driver of the number 66, I'm trying to find the team. It doesn't list the team. Number 66 truck. Here, let me watch the video and see what manufacturer it is. It's the number. Oh, it's the Thor Sport truck. That's embarrassing. Thor Sport's really good. He so Matt Mills as a Truck Series driver, and he put on a defensive move on Connor Jones entering turn 3 at Homestead Miami Speedway, to which Connor Jones decided to give him the bumper. It shot Matt Mills up the racetrack, and normally this really wouldn't be much, cause of concern. However, with what happened with the contact was Matt Mills' truck caught on fire, and he inhaled a ton of the. You good?
Yeah, no, just, that's bad. Also, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a car alarm going off outside. It's stopped now.
No, I care. It's fine. Did you try to steal another car, Eli? We've been having problems with Eli's habits of stealing cars. We've been trying to get it sorted out.
I don't set off the alarm. For legal reasons, that's a joke.
If you're the owner of a 2005 Honda and Honda Civic, I believe, and I found it missing, Eli stole it.
It's a 2009, thank you very much.
Mills, you're welcome. It looks like Isaac, so I just said 05.
To be fair, Isaac's is missing right now, too.
Isaac, if you're listening, we found your thief.
I stole your starter.
Anyway. There you go. That explains it. What's hilarious is you were working that same morning, weren't you? You're
yep. He texted me a couple hours later and said, "You saw the last time my car was alive."
You filthy thief. Anyway. But Matt Mills inhaled a bunch of smoke and had to get sent to the hospital. So NASCAR really kind of like laid into Connor Jones, which I don't want to say he doesn't deserve it. It's just that this happens all the time and NASCAR doesn't care. But because Matt Mills almost died, they're like, wait a second, Connor, what the heck? And so like they gave Connor Jones a 2-lap penalty in the race and also suspended him for this weekend's race at Martinsville, which happened yesterday.
That feels a bit excessive. That part in particular. If it wasn't any more dangerous than something other people were doing, then like banning him for an extra race just feels excessive.
And I'm gonna say this. I get NASCAR's thought process because they've set the precedent that intentionally wrecking someone does deserve a race ban, because Chase Elliott got that last year at the Coke 600, and Bubba Wallace got it the year before at Las Vegas for wrecking Kyle Larson. So I can appreciate the decision just because NASCAR is apparently trying to remain consistent. But I'm with you, Eli. Like this happens so much, especially because it wasn't like horribly malicious. Because the other two were definitely like they like left hooked the guy into the safer barrier, which is super dangerous. But what Connor Jones did, an amateur bump and run that kind of sucked, and it sent Matt Mills into the wall. I don't know if Connor Jones meant to wreck him. I'm sure he meant to definitely put him up the track. But once again, yeah, I for something that happens so often, even this weekend at Martinsville, that happened like 50 times. Kind of like I get the 2 lap penalty. I do think he should apologize to Matt Mills because yes, it was incidental that his truck caught on fire, but also, you know, anytime you clip a guy, you're kind of risking their life a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But also, yeah, the race suspension. I don't know. I appreciate it because it's consistent, but yeah, just based on ethics, I think the race suspension was just a bit harsh. Or just do one or the other. Like if they did a race suspension but let him just keep racing on without the lapse penalty, it would have been fine. But just they really double whammied him. Like they ruined 2 of his weekends for this. Um, I really think only taking 1 weekend out of his points chase would have been fine enough. But yeah,
That's the
the
thing, or
two
just like
weekends, and
disqualify
and
him
it's
from that race. Like just black flag him from the race.
or a pass through would have been a little milder.
Yeah.
But oh well. I once again I appreciate because they're very clearly trying to keep the same rule they've had for a few years now about hooking guys, especially on a fast track like Homestead, Miami. Because Martinsville bump and runs happen all the time, but they're going 50, 60 miles an hour into those turns. They're basically going, just state route speed into turn 3 at Martinsville. But yeah, and Homestead, you're going 3 times that speed, so definitely a lot more dangerous to clip a guy there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there you go. So um, racing is dangerous. As much as I like to joke that MotoGP is the only one that still has fatalities, um, a lot of racing is dangerous. All racing is dangerous, but um, even in a sport like NASCAR that installs all sort of flaps and crush panels and um, like really solidly built roll cages, all these safety things, it's still just so dangerous. So you can appreciate that with this last wreck there, where it doesn't have to be a wreck that hurts someone. It can be what happens because of the wreck with the fire and everything. It's crazy. I'm just glad he's okay. All that smoke inhalation.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway, enough about Connor Jones trying to murder a man. Um, where do I start? Um, you know what? I'll just go ahead and cover the Truck and Xfinity Championship 4. So, yes, we are recording this on our Saturday and the round of 8 elimination weekend at Martinsville. So the Truck and Xfinity races have already happened. Um, so I'm gonna just go on and kind of read off who's made it there, kind of give you a rundown of what's happened last month in both series. So when it comes to the Truck series, um, there was just 3 races. Grain and Finger won Talladega, Eckes won Homestead, Christian Eckes won Martinsville, and your championship 4 for the Truck Series is Grant Enfinger, Christian Eckes, Ty Majeski, and Corey Heim. My pick to win, Ty Majeski, because I'm biased. I like Ford, but honestly, um, it Corey Heim should win it because he should. But as much as I love NASCAR, will admit that this race is kind of flawed, and Corey Heim should win this, but doesn't mean he will. So I want Ty Majeski because he's in a Ford. There you go. Now on to Xfinity. What's
Yeah.
happened last month?
Wait.
Another 3 races.
I have a quick question
Oh
to do with
no,
your Ford bias.
I just had to. I just had to say it. Okay, go ahead.
So, does your Ford bias mean that you'll be a Red Bull fan in 2026?
It's hard. The reason I have Ford bias is because these are very marketable representations of real cars that Ford sells. And before I got it, I'm like anyone. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Before I liked racing, I liked the cars they raced with. I like Fusions, I like Mustangs. When Ford goes to Red Bull, I'm of course probably gonna like them a bit more and definitely be okay when they win. It probably just won't be the same because a Formula One car isn't a marketable machine like a Cup Series car is. I'm very shallow, guys. I only like women for their looks. Same for cars. Um, I think the Ford bias will leak into F1 somehow. I'm probably just going to be mildly okay when they win. I'll liken it this way, right? When Ford wins in NASCAR, I am very proud dad. When Ford wins in Formula One, I'm probably going to be the
Proud
same
uncle.
level of pride. That's I was gonna say like either proud uncle or proud stepdad of his son he mildly approves. It's like I'll give half a smile, but yeah, it's fine. It's not the same, but it's fine. Um, yeah, I think I would be much more biased if it wasn't a team I like because I'm not gonna discuss ethics with Red Bull. I don't pick my favorite F1 team based on ethics because guys, you
Then
may
you
not
wouldn't
believe
have
it, but all
any.
of them are bad. I was gonna say, yeah, they're all bad. You just can't. It just Red Bull makes it more public than the others. Um, I base my team off of what car I like the best. Aston Martin is green. Sauber is too, but Aston Martin has Fernando Alonso, and also that metallic green is awesome.
And
So if
points.
Ford partnered with, yeah, by far, far and wide. If Ford partnered with Aston, I would legitimately be on cloud nine because I already root for Aston. Aston is my team. Um, so that's the thing. Like if Red Bull wins with Ford, I'm going to be okay, but I'm still kind of going to want Aston to do well too. But if Ford partnered with Aston, that's where like I would ascend and probably I would honestly buy a hat. Like if I buy a hat, that means I not just like, but I'm kind of married to this idea, and I can't fully commit. Because that's the thing. Ford engines are the only thing Aston Martin's lacking right now. Like they have Fernando, they have Adrian Newey, they have an amazing car,
To be
but
fair,
they're kind of missing.
that would never happen in a million years because the previous owners of Aston Martin were Ford.
Would never happen in a million years.
Ford and Aston Martin partnering up.
Hmm. Yeah,
Ford did kind of
it's
almost leave Aston Martin bankrupt.
I'm excited that Honda is going to be, using building engines for Aston Martin. I would really like it if Aston Martin built their own engines from their own factory. I would actually like it better.
To be fair, they don't even do
I
that for their production cars.
Yeah, it's true. I just wish they kind of did it though. It's just I think that's what does appeal me to NASCAR in a way. A lot of times, guys, we're going to go in depth in this in the Sacred episode we haven't recorded yet. But I do like how a Chevrolet isn't going to run I don't know, a not Chevrolet engine. Like you get what I mean? Like a Chevrolet running a Honda engine. It's like I know I appreciate and respect the kind of style of sport F1 is, but it does turn me off a bit when Aston Martin isn't making all their own stuff. It's like I don't think less of them. It's just less entertaining for me because I love seeing car companies like 100% car companies go at it. I love seeing Aston v Ferrari, v Mercedes, v McLaren, but I would like it if they all made their own stuff. That's what's great about NASCAR to me. Has always been it's all been their own stuff. Like that's what they're called original equipment manufacturers is because the equipment these teams get is from Chevrolet, from Ford, from Toyota. I'm attracted to that. I like it. I still like F1. It's just sometimes with this situation, like a Ford and a Red Bull or a Honda and a Aston Martin, it's fine. It's just not my cup of tea. So there you go. But simply put, if Aston Martin began making their own engines and stuff, I would very much be into that, and I'd be more into them than I already am. So, uh, anyway, I was about to name off Xfinity. What happened the last month in Xfinity? We haven't recorded since early October, so I'll go to Talladega. Your winner was Sammy Smith. Charlotte Roval, winner was Sam Mayer. And in your round of 8, AJ Allmendinger locked into the 4 with Las Vegas. Austin Hill locked in with Homestead. And Martinsville Speedway, Eric Almirola won, but interesting fold to NASCAR is non-regular season drivers are allowed to win races in Xfinity. So Eric Almirola won the race, not competing for the title. So Cole Custer and Justin Allgaier occupy those last 2 spots for Phoenix. Now, since I went over truck and Xfinity, I get to talk about the meat. Are you all ready for some meat? I'll talk about it.
As I'll ever be.
I'm going to talk. I'll talk about the last 4 races because Martinsville hasn't happened yet, guys. This has been an amazing month of NASCAR. I'm gonna say it. I honestly, I'm gonna go on a spiritual quest here and bring Eli with me, as reluctant as he is. Like I'm gonna take his hand. I'm gonna take him into the world with me. So I think I already talked about this, but when Chris Buescher won Watkins Glen last or September, that was the 4th win in a row for Ford, and that made me so happy. And I got so hyped for the playoffs, only to have Kyle Larson annoy me again. He won at Bristol, and Ratchet there was another race after that. Wait, was that the last one for September? Schedules, help me schedule. Okay, so yeah, Kyle Larson won Bristol, and then Ross Chastain won Kansas. Like, how about that? To burst a Ford bubble, Chevrolet wins back to back races that I was very optimistic that Ryan Blaney could win both of those, but of course he didn't, because if you know, you know. If you're a Ryan Blaney fan, you're miserable. You're never going to get more than 3 wins a year. It's a curse. But you can dream. So going into Talladega, I kind of had some of my mojo back because the Talladega Fall race is always one I look forward to the most. Actually, it's kind of one of my top 5 races of the year. I'll go into that more in our sacred episode about my favorite races. But I always look forward to Fall Talladega. And I'm gonna say it didn't disappoint. Eli, did you know Talladega, this past Talladega race, had the largest wreck in a NASCAR race ever? It set the record for the big one.
I had heard that. Doesn't it usually happen at Talladega anyway? In fact, isn't Talladega the one where the term the big one comes from?
Oh, the news isn't about the wreck, of course. It's just that this one generated the largest wreck ever. And the reason that was entertaining is because this is the playoffs. You know, that would be entertaining anyway on any plate track race, like the 500 or the Geico 500. But this race, this wreck meant a ton. Um, and I was watching the race and I was really excited because, I was rooting for Austin Cindric to make the next round because Joey and Ryan had already made no, they didn't already make the next round, but they were going to do it. Like they were looking really good. And I knew of the 3 of those drivers, Austin Cindric had the least amount of chance to make it to the next round. So I was really wanting him to win this race because he was the fastest car. You could just see tons of speed in that number 2. Um, but yeah, it was a really dramatic race. Brad Keselowski almost won. However, for the 3rd week in a row, we have Chevrolet. Yep, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wins his 4th career race, all coming at either Daytona or Talladega, and I was distraught.
Those are pretty good tracks to be a specialist at, to be fair.
Yeah, no, yeah, like his 4 wins are the Daytona 500. Holy crap, Eli! Ricky Stenhouse has won every plate win, like every plate event. He's won the Daytona 500, the Coke 400, the Geico 500, and now he's won the fall playoff Talladega race. He's won all of them. That's actually pretty cool. I just realized that. And now there's Atlanta, which is a draft track, but honestly, I don't care. I think this is enough of an accomplishment. I'm not gonna like want him to win those Atlanta races. It's fine because I don't know if you know this, but Atlanta has a quick aging asphalt surface. So in like another 5 years, it's not going to be a super speedway style track anyway. So, but yeah, there you go. Ricky won all four. So that's pretty cool. So we go on to Charlotte Roval. In summary, actually, there's a bit to talk about with this race because they changed the layout. Um, this was a big change actually because it ever since it was conceived in 2018, they've actually made small changes like maybe angles of chicanes or runoff areas. Never anything big. This year, turn seven was had a big change. Instead of a kind of an S set of corners, it was now a really sharp spoon curve. It's
Hmm.
kind of like Suzuka. There you go. It's just kind of a spoon curve, and the goal was because it's NASCAR to create more passes and more dramatic racing. And honestly, I can't deny that it worked. There was a ton of passing in that corner, and honestly, they did pretty good at not wrecking a ton. There was a few incidents, but they did, for the most part, like they drove that corner decently clean. So I kind of liked it because I feel like if they didn't drive it clean, it would get a ton of criticism for being too gimmicky, too reckless, take it off. But it worked pretty well for the intention. Combine that with the honestly to me improved road course package, and I was pretty happy with that race. That's I remember last year's Charlotte Roval road course race was one of all those road course races last year that really just kind of made me drool in a cup. Like last year's race was so bad, and so unentertaining. This year was a fresh breath of air. Really good to see it. However, Kyle Larson won. Like at this point, guys, I'm ready to jump off a bridge. That's 4 wins in a row for Chevy. That's like the last thing I needed for my mojo was that to happen. And here we go. Cutoff race. Kyle Larson wins. Joey Logano is out. At this point, there's only one Ford left in the playoffs. We got Ryan Blaney, which I'll take it at this point. However, during the Charlotte Roval race, we had an intense battle for the cutoff. It was between Tyler Reddick, Joey Logano, and Alex Bowman. Tyler Reddick drove an amazing race with some good pit strategy and late race moves. He was able to get himself well over the bubble, race into the next round on points, and Alex Bowman just nudged over Joey Logano to get that final spot. However, there was an amazing, if you're a Ford fan, an amazing plot twist. I go on my phone at like 8 o'clock the same night, really bummed Joey didn't make it because, I only have one Ford left. Alex Bowman gets disqualified. His car was severely underweight, and now he's been kicked out of the playoffs. Joey gets that spot.
Not just
Only time,
underweight, but severely underweight.
yes. Apparently, Hendrick got it reweighed after doing their inspection of it, and it was still 17 pounds underweight. So they didn't. It was funny because I think it was Mike Helton said, "We're not going to say how much underweight it was. Just trust us when we say it was very underweight." So yeah, Alex Bowman's out. Joey's in. So now, Eli, I have something to tell you. Are you aware of the even year curse?
No.
I took a drink of water because this will be long. Every year since the elimination style playoff format has existed, every even year, Joey Logano has made it to the championship four. 2014, 2016. He won the title in 2018. He made it in 2020. Won the title in 2022. This year was looking like the one year he wasn't going to do it. He got eliminated from the Charlotte Roval. That was it. Until it wasn't. And now this becomes legitimate because we go to Las Vegas where Joey Logano, spoilers, he wins.
Hmm.
And because of Eli's favorite racing format, that means Joey's going to go to Phoenix. The even year curse continues. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane that it happened. Like it took because Joey Logano didn't have a good regular season. He's been good in the playoffs, but he hasn't been good in the regular season. He got that one win at Nashville that qualified him for the playoffs. Um, he wasn't bad. Like, he was still 18th in points. He was still a top 20 car all year, but not to the normal even year level that Joey should be at. And he went from a bad regular season to winning Atlanta, punching his ticket to the round 12, scraping into the round of 8, and then getting an amazing fuel mileage win at Las. That's the thing. The Las Vegas race, Eli, was one of the best intermediate races I've seen in a while. Until the next week at Homestead. We'll get to that in a sec, but I want to talk about Las Vegas because I had a blast watching this race. So I may have told you, but up until lap 190, Las Vegas was kind of just like any other intermediate race I've watched in my life.
Hmm.
Um, and when I mean that, I mean Las Vegas is definitely not the best intermediate track. When people say it's a negative connotation cookie cutter NASCAR track, they're talking about Las Vegas. They're talking about Texas. Unentertaining mile-and-a-half tracks that don't have a ton of character to them. Just they're fast. That's it. Um, and Christopher Bell had the car to beat all day. Amazing car. But what was great about this race was that it was actually not influenced by stage racing. This race was completely influenced from pit strategy because there was a caution to go with 67 laps left, lap 200, and the fuel mileage window for Las Vegas is 67 laps. All the cars come into to the pits, get a full tank of fuel, new tires, and everyone is lining up to this restart, knowing that this is probably going to be our last pit stop of the day. The race goes on. Joey kind of falls down to 12th, I think. All the playoff cars are having a pretty good day. Christopher Bell continues to dominate up front. Um, but however, for about 3/4 of the field, they realize that we are so close on fuel, it's not worth the risk. We're probably going to be either on the point or a lap short. So all the drivers come in for at least right side tires and half a tank of fuel. They just need to get this to the finish. Joey Logano does not. He doesn't. Um, which isn't a surprise because his Nashville win earlier in their season was a fuel mileage win. So Joey Logano says, "I'm going to gamble again. It's Las Vegas. I won at Nashville with this way. We're going to try to get this to the finish." It is the most entertaining 30 laps of racing I've seen at Las Vegas because, Christopher Bell pits with about 32 laps to go, I think. Joey stays on track. Christopher Bell is about a second faster on his new tires than Joey Logano. So lap after lap, it's like a winding clock. Christopher Bell is 31 seconds behind them, 30, 29, 28, 27. And they're all doing this math because there's lap traffic involved. There is so many factors to Christopher Bell catching Joey Logano. We have the best car all day, but he's risked it with a pit strategy. Same for Joey Logano, who's definitely not been a bad car, but he's mostly been a top 10 car at the best, who is probably going to walk away with this win on a fuel mileage gamble. So we see Christopher Bell continue to chip away a second a lap, and Joey Logano just is kind of maintaining a gap to. I was going to say Joey Logano wasn't leading this race when Christopher Bell was catching him. He was second to Daniel Suarez, who was 2 seconds ahead on his same strategy. However, with about 10 laps to go, and at this point, Christopher Bell is about 10 seconds behind, continuing to eat about a second a lap off of Joey Logano. Um, Joey decides to push it. It's time to get past Daniel Suarez. He actually does it pretty easily. He definitely had a better car.
Hmm.
And we start to see, lap traffic play a little bit with Christopher Bell. It's getting harder and harder for him to catch Joey. These final 5 laps, Ryan Blaney decides, first of all, Ryan Blaney is 2 laps down because of an earlier incident with Tyler Reddick and Chase Elliott that really hurt their round, really hurt their race. Both Tyler Reddick had a DNF. Chase and Ryan are about 2 laps down each or more. Ryan catches up to Joey. He decides to help bump draft him down the straightaways. More speed. And honestly, I need more water. Joey wins by 6/10 of a second. I mean, Ryan gave him a ton of help. Gave Joey a ton of help to get that win. I'm not sure we're in the same story without that help, but also just it was amazing to watch. Like this is a dream scenario for a Ford fan, for a Joey fan. Like the best car all day in Christopher Bell. You hate it for him. You would hate to be in his position. Finishes second because of a gamble on fuel strategy, which I think what made it even better was it wasn't even a haters race. I mean, it wasn't based off stage cautions. It was based off a natural caution at lap 200 that just happened to be an amazing 67 lap shootout that Joey won. And the even year curse continues after that. Joey's going to Phoenix.
Nice.
Man, I was seriously so involved emotionally in that race. Like, but also what this win means is Ford has won 10 races for the first time since 2020. Um,
It's
it's
weird
been
that
a
that's
rough
4 years
year for the
ago.
Ford. I know, right? I mean, it's been a rough few years. You know, Ford won 7 times in 21, then 9 in 22, then 8 last year, and to go double digits this year and also be second in the manufacturers battle is awesome. Um, we're not going to beat Chevy this year, but um, I'm so glad like having someone to root for, but also have all these awesome wins when the first 12 races of the season you didn't win anything. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. Um, so that's what happened at Las Vegas. That was one of the best intermediate races I've seen. Period. Definitely the best Las Vegas race I've ever seen. I wasn't even a victim of the moment. That was a 2 weeks ago, and I still say that was an amazing race. I loved it. Like that was so entertaining to watch that strategy play out. Um, so now after Las Vegas happens, we go to Homestead, Miami. Um, I personally don't have a ton of expectations for this race. Homestead is never super exciting for me. It's always once again it's a mid pack. It's a cookie cutter track. It is unique, honestly. You got to run the wall to go fast there a lot of times, and my expectations are on Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, guys who are really good at riding that high line. Um, and we have another amazing intermediate race. Was this the best Homestead race I've ever watched? I think it is. I think it is. Um, 2022, Kyle Larson won. I don't remember too many crazy things. Last year was probably up until last week's race. Last year may have been my favorite Homestead race. That's when Kyle Larson murdered those sand barrels.
I think that what I'm noticing a trend. What defines your favorite races has a tendency to be how terribly it went for Kyle Larson.
Hey, you can't measure. You can measure joy, and it's usually with Kyle Larson not doing well for me.
I wasn't taking any issue with this. It was just a passive observation.
No, you'd be absolutely right. I'm a human. I'm a slave to my emotions, and Kyle Larson not doing well makes my emotions happy. It's not because I hate him. It's just when he wins, I don't like. Come on, I mean, he's in a Chevrolet first of all, but it just sounds to be one of the most boring looking cars in the field. It's like if you're gonna insult me, I really wish you were hot. Like, come on. Like, I can take it better if you look good. But he just insults me with such a dumb looking car. I hate it. I took his paint scheme, Eli. I'm gonna send you this picture really quick. All I did was instead of red accents on his car, I put black accents on his car, and it made it twice as good. Like it is not hard to make that paint scheme look good. It was Ricky Hendricks, so definitely a lot of emotional investment. I get that. However, it is not good. This is this honestly this paint scheme I'm not gonna say is great, but it's better than what they have. Black, white, and blue is better to me than white, red, and blue. It just with too many dominant colors, they clash. It's ugly. It's like I mean, it's whatever. It's just blue and red are very dominant, vibrant colors,
You have to be really careful if you're
and
going to mix them.
yeah, I'm glad you agree because it's like I don't want to say red and blue is bad together because it's not. It's just in this instance, it really detracts from the car because That blue is beautiful. That blue should be the main event, but it's kind of distracted by because once again with red you have to be careful because no color attracts attention like red. It would honestly, I mean, they tried to give it red with blue, but it almost looked even worse because it was a metallic maroon. But you know, if you take that kind of skyish blue and just trade the, you know, honestly, and change the white and black, it doesn't matter.
I
If you just
find
leave red out of it, it's
I usually find if you're going to try and mix red and blue, you have to have a dark blue,
yeah.
like the
Oh,
Williams
yeah,
a few
definitely.
years
Like
back, where it was like the dark blue with the red pinstripe.
at this point, if you're gonna mix all those vibrant colors, just do it like PPG and it looks amazing. Um, it's just yeah. Honestly, if you're wondering why I hate Kyle Larson so much, it's not because I'm a sad, decrepit human. It's literally just that I really wish if someone is going to be this good, win all this much, I want to buy their die cast. Okay, I said it. I want to like their cars. Back when you know, Kyle Busch was dominating, he had amazing cars. He had the Interstate Batteries car. He had the metallic blue hazelnut car, the metallic pink fudge brownie. Like he had amazing cars. And so when he won, it's like, okay, I'm not a huge fan, but I'm definitely buying that diecast. Like at least he's not just completely insulting me. With Kyle Larson, I don't have a single diecast of his because all of it's garbage. Straight up garbage. I haven't even shown you this one, Eli. This is his 2021 Nations Guard car. You literally had green and you decide to use it as a very minor accent to white and black. For goodness sakes,
Seriously?
it could have been it could have been a very vibrant, beautiful car, and they didn't. I would have bought if they traded the black for green, I would have bought this car. I would have been happy with it. But it's like between Kyle Larson hitting walls and also never having a good looking car, can't
The,
root for the guy. I'm sorry, it's nothing against him.
the funny
His
thing
car
is, I
should have
almost think
stunk.
that I think literally any other combination of those colors would look better. You switch the black for the green,
Yeah,
you
they could
switch
have
the
changed
black
it
for
to
the
gray.
white, you switch the green for the white. Any of those would look better than that.
It's an embarrassment, an absolute embarrassment. Um, would you mind as I go on a tirade, like, is it okay if I send you some of Kyle Busch's 2019 schemes?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna accept a no, so I'm gonna do it anyway. But
I was gonna say you didn't ask for
I'll try to
permission
send.
before sending these ugly things, so may as well send ones you like.
I was gonna say I might as well brighten your day with some amazing looking cars. I did, it just bums me out. Like the next gen car is hard enough to make look good with that wheel number, and that was a perfect opportunity for them to change up this horrible scheme, and don't. They just shove the number to the front. Anyway, back to Homestead. Um, not a ton of expectations for me. We kind of know who our favorites are. Um, and it's kind of like Las Vegas, where the first 190 laps, it's definitely entertaining. I'm gonna say it was really good because the bottom lane really came in, so it was a 2-lane racetrack. Like Ryan Blaney was dominating on the bottom, like awesome car. Another good car. Chase Elliott was really good. So you know, it was a competitive track, lots of fun. But once again, you have Las Vegas where there's a late race caution. But this one might be more, not as maybe entertaining, but more complex than Las Vegas. Um, so I'm gonna try to explain this because I know
This is the one you
you
messaged
have
me
mainly
excited about, wasn't it?
yes, and I'm going to that part. So Blaney and a lot of the field choose to pit in the first 34 laps of their stint which is kind of the undercut strategy, um, and kind of honestly the preferred strategy all day. Um, and the thorough cars do that. You have Denny Hamlin and a few others choosing the perfect halfway point, which was honestly pretty cool. Because you could see Denny really gain on Ryan and all those on the initial early undercut strategy. He would really gain on them during the stint. He did it to win stage two. No reason to think he couldn't do it again at the end of this stint. Um, and the third pit strategy was Tyler Reddick's strategy. Stay out as long as possible. Get lucky. Get a caution. He didn't. Ryan Blaney and that strategy proved to be the best. Denny Hamlin couldn't get past lap traffic. The laps are winding down. Um, it's pretty obvious that Ryan Blaney, his crew was a monster all day. He had the winning performance. Him and his team did. However, back to ugly car. There is a certain HendrickCars.com Chevrolet that I really don't like, who is really good at Homestead, who began to slowly rail in Ryan Blaney, and I kind of want to die. This is the last guy I want to win this race. He almost always tags the wall at Homestead to end his race. He did today, but came back from it from 32nd position. I'm mad. All right, I need to drink a ton of water because there is just so much going on. But yeah, he's railing him in. Denny Hamlin's strategy doesn't work. It's pretty much there's 13 laps to go. It's gonna be Blaney versus Larson for the win. Reddick strategy goes through the hole until 13 to go, entering turn 3. Ryan Blaney puts a defensive move on Kyle Larson, where Blaney takes the middle. There's a lapped car on the top. Kyle Larson says, "Hey, let's instead of taking the bottom, let's go in between Ryan Blaney and this lapped car of Austin Dillon."
Bold choice.
And you see Kyle Larson's rear snap.
Ooh.
Eli, I am being honest. I had the house to myself. I have never shrieked louder than when that happened. Like I said yes 4 times, like uncontrollably. Like this was not part of my will to just shriek yes as loud as humanly possible. But I was so happy that this happened. I just, my voice is so raspy from getting so excited about this. I don't think I can do a proper recreation of this right now. But just imagine me shrieking yes at the top of my lungs 4 times in a row, uncontrollably, seeing this man slowly spin out. However, this is where it gets interesting because Tyler Reddick, that guy whose strategy didn't work, he had just pitted 2 laps before this. He basically has almost fresh tires. So, yes, his strategy almost basically works. And now Tyler Reddick is leading the race. He selects the high line. Blaney selects the inside. We got a fight for this race win. Denny Hamlin lines up, I believe, behind either Reddick or Blaney. I forget. You got some incoming paint schemes, Eli.
Yeah, I saw the first one, the Interstate. Not was it? Yeah, Interstate battery car.
Okay. You got a beautiful hazelnut car coming.
Ooh.
So Denny Hamlin v. Tyler Reddick v. Ryan Blaney. Big fight. We got Denny Hamlin taking the lead right away. Also, keep in mind all the cars except Tyler Reddick came into pit after that caution. Tyler Reddick has the oldest tires. So Denny Hamlin gets it done on the top. However, Denny Hamlin doesn't have a great long run, so he begins to fade a bit. Ryan Blaney starts to come in on the bottom. Guys, I am off my seat. I think Ryan Blaney is going to get it done. Get the number 3 win of the year, lock into Phoenix. He's going to do it. Laps wind down. Ryan Blaney continues to be good on the bottom. Tyler Reddick takes over second, and maybe there's a bit of fight. He's kind of there, kind of not. Until the last lap. My heart gets broken. Absolutely broken. Um, Ty Ryan Blaney, last lap of the race, gotta make 4 good corners. I think he did make 4 good corners. However, Tyler Reddick made 2 of the best corners of his life in turns 3 and 4 at Homestead. Final corners of the final lap, steals the win from Ryan Blaney. I'm left dumbfounded. Um, a lot of people said that, Ryan Blaney may have not taken the correct move because Tyler Reddick is so good at the top. Ryan Blaney didn't completely block the top. I'm gonna say I'm cool with that move from Ryan Blaney, honestly. Um, because Tyler Reddick was making up all that time on the bottom. I'm not sure how much more Ryan Blaney could have done. Um, at the end of the day, I think it was a decent move. But yeah, there you go. That was Homestead. Another thrilling, absolutely thrilling intermediate race. There you go. That's been the last month of NASCAR. It has been, I mean, wildly entertaining, me at least. Um, but yeah, tons of crazy action right now. Joey Logano and Ty Wreck are your only lock-ins for Phoenix, and I guess we'll see tomorrow in Martinsville who makes up those other 2 spots.
What we've learned here today is that when we stop talking about racing series is when they get good.
Yes, yes, that's exactly what happens, unfortunately.
Imagine just how great every series would be if we only do the podcast in the off season.
Oh boy, I'm not mad. My voice is so hoarse from talking this much. I haven't gotten this excited in a second, but yeah, just it's been an emotional few weeks of racing. Like I've had so much fun, and I am really expecting tomorrow to be big because guys, this is the same race last year that Ryan Blaney locked in his ticket to the championship 4 in by winning Martinsville. Um, we do have qualifying for tomorrow available. Martin Truex Jr. did take your poll, and let's look at your lineup. Let's look at the playoff drivers.
And
Okay,
that's
so
got to
the
be the
morning lineup,
sexiest looking brown car I've ever seen.
right? It makes you want to eat it.
That thing is beautiful.
This is why Kyle winning didn't make me completely mad. It's like, well, it's like when the hot girl like sucks, but it's like, well, at least you're good to look at.
I never thought I would like a brown race car, but that Snickers car.
Would it turn you on if I told you I had the diecast?
Is that one of the one that's still in package, or is it already on your shelf?
Oh, that sucker's opened.
I imagine that you did not hesitate with that one, did you?
Nope, nope, nope. Um, oh, I also got some more for you, big boy. Honestly, guys, Kyle Busch had amazing paint schemes. Say what you want, but Joe Gibbs, Kyle Busch paint schemes were built different. I mean, this isn't even all of them. These are just my personal favorites. Uh, Trying to. Okay, yeah. Okay, if you thought that one was edible, Eli, here comes one that might actually make you rip like the mouse off your computer. Like this looks so amazing, and I can't get the image to pop up, so I might have to send a screenshot. Yeah, and like I do have a die cast of this one too. Is it opened? Yes. Oh, it's so edible. Like this car is literally edible. Well, as host, my voice hoarse. So Eli, if I will send you paint schemes continually. I would appreciate you if you took over to give us our final news of the day.
There is only one other thing I can think of, and that is that we're going to see a certain paint scheme with a certain number on track again.
Huh.
We're going to see the number 8 Budweiser again.
Oh my gosh. Can't do this to me. I'm about to lose my voice. Can't do this to me.
Hey, look, that is the car that I grew up watching racing. I was always going to mention it. The reason I know what NASCAR is that car.
Paint schemes just don't stop.
It
Paint
just,
schemes just don't stop.
yeah.
Guys, if you ever wonder why I love racing so much, I think 75% of it is, no, 80% or more is about the sport itself. It's about how good looking the cars can be.
Yep. So,
Oh my God,
Dale Earnhardt
this
Jr.
keeps getting better.
got the rights back to the number 8 in for oh, what is it? Because it's in, he has it right, he has it back for all NASCAR series, but he's specifically going to be using it for I cannot remember what that's called.
Oh, late model stock car racing.
Yes, late model. There we go. So he's going to return to several late model races next year in the number 8, but not just any number 8, because he's also already lined up the return of the Budweiser sponsorship for it. And he has not ruled out the possibility of running it in some Xfinity races too. And we can do an entire episode on the history of that car and why this is such a big deal. So I'm just going to leave it at that. That
We call dibs on the Teresa Earnhardt baggage.
yeah, like I'm just we. Let's be real. There's going to be an entire off-season episode about the Earnhardt legacy, and that car and that livery is a large part of it. But for now, let's just go on to say that this is great news for everyone, and there are inevitably going to be diecasts of this car, and I need one.
Since I don't have any emotional connection to this paint scheme, just let me buy it for you. This casted metal is on me.
It is just so beautiful.
Now the question is, do you want the 124 or 164?
I'm not gonna. I just want it. Actually, probably the 164, because those are the ones that I had when I was, young, watching it.
Didn't we all
Nostalgia.
play with our 160? Oh, and by the way, the cards I sent you, I have diecast of all of them except the final 3 and that M&M's chocolate bar above the Skittles rainbow. Honestly, for 2018, I should just bring my collection. Like, I actually keep it pretty well contained. Like, I could bring all of it pretty easy.
Yeah,
It would make me so happy.
there's just so much about like that is the biggest thing that NASCAR does right is the different liveries.
Until they're like, hey, let's move the number to the wheel well for sponsorship.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started. Was there a good 2022 Kyle Busch paint schemes? I'll look.
I did almost forget. There was another piece of news that's rather important, and that is that it was decided that starting next year, Formula One will no longer have a point for fastest lap, which means that Danny Rick took the last fastest lap that anyone will ever care about at Singapore, and in doing so, made the FIA decide to stop awarding the fastest lap point.
For legacy, baby.
He did more to cement his legacy without one lap than anything else in his career, which is saying something because he has a pretty impressive career. But he has now taken, because the track is going to be longer next year, so he has set the fastest lap time ever for Singapore. And because of him taking that lap when he was outside of the points, led to the discussion that led to the end of the fastest lap point. So yeah, that one lap has completely cemented his career and his legacy. But yeah, that's
Beautiful.
that's all I've really got for tonight. I believe the plan for next week is it'll be Brazil. What NASCAR race did you say?
Hinsville.
Martinsville. And if all goes to plan, that will be on a Wednesday, just so that we can say that we've done every single day of the week. So,
Let's go.
until then, good night.
This has been Irreverent.